The Los Angeles Rams head to the Midwest to take on the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium. Before we hop into that, did want to let you know that Ram Showcase, we do have another t-shirt giveaway. If you'd like to enter, it's super simple. All I need for you is wherever you can hear and or see me is drop a comment below, and all you need to do is tell me when was the first time that you saw the Rams play live and in person. If you have never seen the Rams play in person, well, what game would you pick if you could just pick any this season? Money wasn't an issue, travel wasn't an issue, none of those things were a problem. What game would you choose to go to this season? And again, you can just comment that wherever you can hear or see me. If you don't think that I'm getting it, or maybe you're listening to me on a weird podcast platform, always reach out on social media, at Ram Showcase, at Sheriff Joe Bags on X and Instagram. Facebook isn't the best place to message me. My messages don't come through there, but everywhere else is a good spot. Just leave that comment, and if I like and or respond to you, then that is confirmation that you are in. Last week we had a bunch of 49ers fans enter as well, so that's awesome that they want themselves a Ram Showcase t-shirt. If you don't want to leave it up to chance, though, go ahead and go to ramshowcase.com and click on that merch tab. You can check out our 3 different colors and 2 different styles right there. So snag yourself a Ram Showcase t-shirt. The Los Angeles Rams sitting at 1-1, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who opened the season with an 0-2 record. This game going down at Paycor Stadium on Monday Night Football, September 25th on ESPN. I don't know why they're doing the 2 for Monday Night Footballs this season, or at least this part of the season. But either way, the Rams game kicking off at 5:15 Pacific time on ESPN. Our broadcast has Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, and Louis Riddick in the booth. And then we also have Laura Rutledge on the sideline. If you are listening on Westwood 1, well, you get to hear Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner call the game for the Rams. If you are a bettor for this one, the Rams are sitting right now at plus 2.5. This did get dramatically changed after we got the report on Joe Burrow that he may not be playing in this game. Rams money line just sitting at plus 124, so nothing too crazy there. And the over-under sitting at 43.5 if you are indeed a bettor. So, some notes on this game. Of course, right guard Joe Noteboom, he is expected to play versus the Bengals after getting hurt in the Week 2 game against the 49ers and not returning. Tremaine Ankrum did come in his place, but he does look to be able to go this week against the Cincinnati Bengals, giving the Rams the same starting offensive line for the first 3 weeks of the season, something that we didn't see last season until I believe it was week 13 that we saw the same offensive line go from 1 week into the next. So we're already miles above where we were last year, which is very good news, of course. Quarterback Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals is dealing with an injury, and his availability is uncertain at this time for Monday Night Football. But if Joe Burrow can't go, then Jake Browning is the backup. And if I'm not mistaken, Jake Browning has yet to throw a pass in the NFL. So going against this Los Angeles Rams defense that has been playing very well could be quite the task for Jake Browning. Although being in primetime, energy levels are obviously a little bit different in that setting. And then obviously you're at home as well, so feeding off that energy. And, you kind of go in there with low expectations. When you're just backing up Joe Burrow, you can kind of go in there and just kind of let it rip, because worst case scenario, I mean, you're just going to Joe Burrow's just going to come back, and then you're just back to clipboarding it with a headset on the sideline. So you might as well just go in and let it rip if Browning is the one that does come in to take those snaps if Joe Burrow cannot go. The Rams will travel back to L.A., by the way, after the game in Cincinnati. There was speculation that the Rams could stay in the area with their Week 4 matchup coming in the Indianapolis Colts, or at the Indianapolis Colts. In Indy is what I'm trying to say there. So obviously the story of this game, the Bengals, could they really start 0-3? I mean, yeah, they could. It's very possible, actually, because this Rams team is playing some pretty good football. So they not only can they, but they also might. There's a very real possibility the Rams win this football game with the way that they've been able to perform in these first 2 games. Although I do think it's there should be noted here, a little asterisk, that those are 2 division games, and people always play it's kind of hard to judge people based on division games, because you know those teams really well. We know those coaches very well, Shanahan and Pete Carroll. Sean McVay has gone against them plenty of times, so the history is definitely there. But the Cincinnati Bengals, they have underperformed to start the season. they're in a pretty rough spot with their superstar quarterback dealing with an injury on top of that as well. So, of course, we know like all the percentages and how bad it gets when you start 0-2 or 0-3 and your odds to make it to the playoffs. So, will the Cincinnati Bengals be able to stave that off? Well, we hope not. But the Bengals offense also off to just a rough start. They're ranked last right now in terms of total yards. So, I mean, just really not getting it done at all, like in any capacity right now. The Bengals, not only are they 0-2, but they're 0-2 and like they're a bad 0-2. Like they're not playing well. So that has to be like something that is like, I mean, at what point do the Cincinnati Bengals just turn this around? You know what I mean? Like they're a very talented football team. We know how fast you can fall after appearing in a Super Bowl because, well, we just did with them not that long ago. The Rams obviously they kind of ate it last year pretty hard, but we're hoping that this year's back on the come up. Is this the one for the Bengals? Is this the season that they kind of take a step back and need to kind of retool some stuff? So an 0-3 start could kind of put that into people's brains, especially out in the Bengals front office and stuff, that like if you get with an 0-3 start, and especially, I mean, you got a strong division there. Browns, obviously, like they're the Browns. We'll see what happens with them. But obviously, the Ravens, they just beat the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's going to be a lot of conversation going on if the Bengals do get to an 0-3 start. From the Rams side of it, well, it feels obvious that the Rams are better than most people anticipated. Not me. I'm not an I've got receipts guy. I'm not trying to like find anybody and be like, I told you we were going to be better than that. But I will say that there's plenty of people I haven't heard from in the last few weeks. That's it. I mean, without going in and trying to give names or anything like that. Because again, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. That guy's never fun. Nobody likes to hang out with that guy who's all like looking for you, like I told you so. But also at the same time, I mean, I did. So there's that part of it. But it doesn't really matter. The Rams are better than we thought, or some people thought, because if you've been with Rams Showcase leading into the season, then I feel like you know that I was not down on this team, and I was pretty like kind of digging in my heels on like I think this team's gonna be better than the media believes, and I think that is kind of what we're seeing right now. It's kind of unfolding in front of us. So. Obviously, again, I don't have I don't have screenshots of comments or anything like that, but there are definitely people that I just haven't heard from. If you're one of those, hit me up, dude. What are you doing? The Rams they played extremely well on both sides of the football through 2 games, and the way that the Rams played against the 49ers has definitely shifted the way that the entire media is viewing this team right now. Even Colin Cowherd, who, well, I mean, he is in LA, so he does give a little bit of favoritism there, I will say. But even he has thrown the Rams into the top 10 on his herd hierarchy, sliding in at the number 9 spot. And with 2 division games, but overall small viewing areas in those first 2 weeks, the Rams now enter a primetime audience for the first time this season with an incredible chance to show the masses how good they really can be. And it is against a team that's struggling. So, in short, could the Rams start 2-1? Absolutely, especially a Cincinnati Bengals team who is struggling right now. The Rams could 100% go into that game and win it, and then we don't know what the heck the Indianapolis Colts are. After that, we got the Philadelphia Eagles, and then it's the Arizona Cardinals. So we're sitting in a spot right now where we could be sitting, I mean, well above, 2-3 games above 500 going into like week 7 or something. So that is pretty good news for the Rams. And again, we're going against an opponent who has struggled to start the season. So it's good to get this in prime time where we can kind of show everybody, like if some guys are absolutely, just going off in this game, and maybe guys that we haven't really heard from a whole lot yet, then I think that this will be the one. Even though the Bengals are not playing well, this will be the one. If the Rams can come up and have a strong showing in this one, this will be the one that really gets the media's attention of like, okay, the Rams are 2-1, playing good football right now. How far can they go? And that will be the conversation next week if the Rams are able to pull out, let's just say, a double-digit win in Cincinnati in primetime. I think that that's totally reasonable, that if you can win, even against a struggling team in their house in primetime, then you kind of do get a little bit more of a nod there. So let's go ahead and dive into the matchup here. We got the Rams offense versus the Bengals defense. So the Rams offense sitting right now with, they're averaging 4.11 a game, which again, it's 2 games, so it's hard to really dive into averages, but they're sitting 3rd in the NFL right now, going against the Bengals' 25th ranked defense, so sitting near the bottom of the pack there. The passing attack, the Rams are 3rd in the league, averaging just over 315 a game for Matthew Stafford in that passing attack. The Cooper Cup-less passing attack still. Now, the Bengals do have a top 10 pass defense, however. Running the football, that is where the Bengals defense definitely struggles. They are 1 away from the very bottom of the league, sitting in 31st. And the Rams still struggling to get that ground game going, ranking 23rd in the NFL right now, with a bit of a shakeup in that running back room. We'll see how that kind of unfolds in the next few weeks here. And the Rams are 9th in points scored, putting up just under 27 a game. And the Bengals are tied for 19th, giving up over 25 in a game right now. So obviously the Rams, they do come out of the first like 2 weeks performances, like playing very good football. That is absolutely true. I mean, no one's going to deny that the Rams are playing really good right now and probably better than we all thought. I mean, I left week 1 being like, I'm not surprised by any of this. I left week 2 being like, all right, this is pretty good. Like, this is not bad. All right. So you take away a few mistakes against the San Francisco 49ers, and that outcome is possibly different. I mean, we kind of talked about it on Ram Showcase Live every Monday on YouTube and Facebook. We kind of talked about it there, that like you get that 2-2 play where he didn't cut it up. You get the Van Jefferson, the pass to Van Jefferson that was intercepted, and then you have that Kyren Williams tipped pass that was intercepted. I mean, you take those 3 plays away, and I mean, that's maybe a 10-point win for the Rams. So it's a massive difference, obviously. So I think that's worth noting that that the Rams were right there in that game. And even Jonah Williams talked about it on his Rams Revealed episode, that like, it's like we felt like we played good, but just the scoreboard just was not in our favor. Like, that's the only thing. Like, everything else felt good, just the scoreboard. Unfortunately, that is the number one stat that they look at for your records is the points that you're putting up. So obviously that's unfortunate, but the Rams through 2 games, they've only punted 3 times, and that's obviously incredible, right? So going against a team that has struggled to stop the run, I do feel pretty good that maybe Ethan Evans, hey, just keep that leg locked up, man. Just keep it good for the playoffs, and we'll be good there. And even then, let's just not use it. How about that? How about we just have sick punters and don't need them? I think that's a sweet game plan. And could we really see a 3rd week of Puka Nacua absolutely dominating? So far, he is showing no signs of slowing down. He is playing really, really good football right now. And I kind of talked about it last week that maybe that I felt like Tutu Atwell was going to be the more sustainable player over the course of the season. After this game against the 49ers, though, I'm kind of changing my tune there. And it's not that I'm down on Tutu or anything, but I will say that Puka Nacua, he looks like he is in position to have one of the best rookie seasons NFL wide receiver has ever had. He's already just busting up some records and stuff. He's got 25 receptions in the first 2 weeks. That's madness. And it's not just that he's getting these receptions. It's also, I mean, not as a knock. It's not as a knock, but he's also got a bunch of, not a bunch. He's got a few drops as well in each game. So this number could be closer to 30. He's almost averaging 15 catches a game, which is insane. Like, I know that it's 12.5 right now, but with those drops that he's had in both games, it really could be up to like 30 receptions in these first 2 games. So he is, really, really pushing it there. He's playing incredible. I mean, no wide receiver in the NFL, in NFL history, has started a career like Puka Nacua, and we're only 2 games in, and that's incredible, right? So looking for that to continue against a team who is going to quickly become desperate for some wins. Look for the Bengals being 0-2 and going against a team like the Rams, who's young and energetic and fast and aggressive. They look for them to probably, if I had to guess, get a little testy with themselves inside that building. It's going to get a little, like, they're going to get frustrated because they are known as a good team. They should be a good team. And with starting the season with some struggles, it's going to start to leak into that locker room a little bit. You could see some guys taking more chances that could lead to some benefits for an offense like the LA Rams going up there. So next up on my 3 to see, as Puka Nacua, of course, being number 1, next up is going to be Kyren Williams. The Rams' run offense hasn't exactly exploded yet, although Kyren has started the season by putting up some points. Dude's scoring tuds, and that's obviously awesome to see. He's got 3 on the ground and 1 receiving. He does lead the NFL in touchdowns scored right now, which is incredible. But we got to pump up the rushing stats just a little bit, just to get some more balance in the offense. The Rams' pass attack seems so strong right now, even without Cooper Kupp. But to get that ground game rolling, I think is going to be critical. We know how powerful a Sean McVay offense can be when the ground game is just absolutely crushing it, i.e. the Todd Gurley days. We know those and all that stuff that we can go back on and check out. But in just games where we've had strong rushing attacks, it feels unstoppable. And when the Rams do struggle to kind of get the ground game going, and it's all on Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff when he was our quarterback. When it's just on the quarterback, though, it does seem that the Rams offense does kind of, it can be still very explosive. The pass attack is strong, but there are some questions, and I think just too much pressure on a quarterback and your receivers when the ground game just can't get going. I will say, though, I think the addition of Mike LaFleur and the coaching staff as offensive coordinator, I think that's kind of reining in Sean McVay just a little bit and keeping him more balanced. So far, though, just 2 games. Let's see the season unfold. And my third here on the 3 to see on the Rams offense is going to be wide receiver Van Jefferson. So far, Van has been a disappointment so far this season. I don't think that that's too insane to say. I don't even think that he wouldn't agree with that. Because I like Van Jefferson, and I have no intentions of trying to bash him in any capacity. But the start of his season has definitely been rough, and he's just not getting it done right now. But the way Sean McVay kind of talked about Van this last week, it did give me some level of confidence in Van Jefferson, because just the way that Sean McVay was talking about Van just kind of made it sound like, oh yeah, he hasn't exploded yet, but Puka and Tutu are doing awesome. So yeah, he's just not getting the numbers yet. And it's kind of if you watch the all-22s, you can see him not get a lot of separation. Obviously, in week 1, he had that really bad drop that we're all just like, dude, that's what? But I mean, it happens, whatever. It's just part of, no one's perfect. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. But the way that Sean McVay was kind of oh yeah, no, he's fine. It's not a big deal. He didn't have that same response when somebody asked him about Cam Akers. It's his Cam Akers, or JB Long asked him, he's his Cam Akers played his last game as a Ram, and he's like, yeah. It wasn't anything like that. He was kind of surprised by the fact that Van Jefferson is being hey, what's going on with this guy? He's like, oh no, he's fine. It's good. It's okay. So I think with that being said, it did give me some confidence in Van, and I think that's just a matter of time before Sean kind of starts cooking some stuff up for Van, and that we just see him kind of take on that role as a leader in this group. So I do still kind of think that this is going to be the final season of Van Jefferson in Los Angeles. But for right now, I mean, he's here. So I hope he does well. I mean, I don't think that's too crazy to say, is it? That I just hope Van Jefferson does well while he's here. But either way, I think that the way that Sean McVay was talking, any of these games over the next 4, 5, 6 games, any of these could be ones where we really see Van Jefferson kind of just take on more of an important role in the offense and just have a little bit more impact as we move on. So let's move over here to the Bengals offense against the Rams defense. The Bengals have definitely been struggling on the offensive side of the ball here, ranking dead last in total yards, just 225.5 for the Cincinnati Bengals, going against the Rams defense, ranking 6th right now, so just sitting outside of the top 5 with a 281 average. Passing the football, Bengals still not getting it done here as well, ranking 30th in the NFL, while the Rams are currently 5th in the league defending the pass. Running the football, another spot where the Bengals are just near the bottom, 28th in the NFL, just over 70 yards a game right now for the Bengals rush offense. And the Rams defense, this is definitely where they could improve, ranking 24th against the run, so strong opportunity to boost those numbers this week. But the Bengals are surely thinking the same thing on their side when looking at the Rams run defense. And points being put up, Bengals right now just 13.5, that is tied for 30th, so near the bottom there as well. And the Rams giving up just over 21 on average, which is currently 12th in the league. So obviously, this Bengals offense is, I think, just out of character right now. This is not something that we're used to seeing out of the Bengals. especially over these last few seasons. Since Joe Burrow has arrived, we have not seen the Bengals offense just kind of have this much trouble moving the football. So the Rams defense, though, yet to force a turnover, but still sits in 6th in the league in total yards. The Bengals are the weakest offense the Rams have faced so far, and a chance to smother another team. Could be without their Super Bowl superstar quarterback as well. So obviously, we're hoping that that turnover situation can change. I think JB Long tweeted a stat that said something about the offensive points being scored, or it was like 400 yards in each game, and also not getting any defensive turnovers in the first 2 games. And the Rams are the 4th team to do that, and the other 3 went to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit, be like, oh, yep, we're just joining that group right now. But at the same time, I mean, that's very impressive. The way the Rams have been able to get this done without getting any turnovers. So we're not even getting short fields or anything. We're not helping out Matthew Stafford as much as we would hope that we're helping him out. But of course, we also know that turnovers tend to come in bunches and kind of just hits the right little rhythm against the right team, and they just kind of stack up on you. So the Bengals, they begin the season 0-2, and will eventually start to feel and play a little desperate, like I said. But early season Bengals, historically, over these last few years, have started out pretty weak. So no need to panic for Bengals fans at this time. But a great chance that the Rams get back above 500, putting the Cincinnati Bengals to an 0-3 record, which at what point is you're kind of hovering over the panic button just a little bit. It's there. You're kind of like, oh, do we do? Because Joe Burrow is your quarterback. You don't want to panic right away. It's kind of like the Chiefs, losing on the opener to the Lions. It's like, do you panic then? No, I mean, it's 1 game. Right now it's 2, going to be maybe 3 games for the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like I'm talking like the Rams are just going to win this game. Like that's just a guarantee. That's not my intention. Because obviously any given Sunday, you never know what can happen out there. The Rams could come out and just not look good. You know what I mean? It could just be a thing this week. But either way, these Bengals, I feel like I'm kind of maybe talking confident because these Bengals have not played well, and the Rams are playing well right now. So that does have to be considered. Let's dive into the 3-2C on the defensive side of the football for the Rams. And, we'll start with safety, Russ Yeast. Yeast, he's not getting any love right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. Yeast, he does seem to be flying under the radar, but he is flying around a football field, and I know that much. We thought it was a little weird to see him starting over John Johnson, but I think the way he's playing is showing us why. He does have the traits to be a super sick safety. He does look a little raw, but this isn't a bad thing. Yeast is in a position to kind of take this season and progress, and I think that he's a player that I haven't really talked about very often, but he's a player that right now he's flying around, he's energetic, he's working hard, and he is a little bit raw, which makes me super excited to see his progression over the course of the season. So I'm really pumped now to see Yeast, when we look at him in week 17, 18, and think back to these days and these games going into week 3 against the Bengals on Monday Night Football, and kind of the vibe of what Russ Yeast is all about. So I'm pumped for him, though, and super stoked to see what he does as the season continues. Linebacker Ernest Jones making his way back into the 3-C. This is probably going to be a main staple of the 3-C is Ernest Jones. I love this dude. I love what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball for the Rams right now, and it is incredible to watch. Absolutely loving it. So Jones, he is off to an awesome start on defense. He's showing great traits as a leader of the defense, and he's also putting guys in the right positions. We saw, obviously, these last 2 games, he's got experience against both these teams and these players and stuff, but the way that he's putting people in position, I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Ernest Jones. He seems to be just all over the place. He's near the end of almost every play, just like Christian Roseboom when he's in the game as well. Our linebackers are flying to the football. Absolutely love to see it, and that is going to make you a good defense when your linebackers are the ones that are in the end of every play, not your safeties. It's usually pretty good. You don't want all your safeties making all the tackles. That means they're probably, you're probably giving up some yards if your safeties are stacking up all the tackles. But Ernest Jones, I think this is an awesome opportunity for him to be in front of a large audience, obviously, So it's going to be some good stuff. Let's go, Ernest Jones. I'm pumped about it, man. And then next up, we'll go with Kobe Durant. Haven't heard announcers really say Durant's name very often this year, but for a CB, that's obviously a good thing. And he hasn't really been tested a whole lot, but he has been tested. He is playing well, though, and so we'll see. We'll see. It's fun to watch like the All-22 with Kobe Durant because he just doesn't seem to get a lot of distance away from his man he's covering. So that's obviously awesome to see. So those are your 3 to see on the defensive side. Moving over to some milestones here. Quarterback Matthew Stafford does need just 1 touchdown pass to pass Pat Hayden for 7th most in franchise history. He does need 4,301 passing yards to pass Eli Manning for 10th all-time in league history. This is something that we're going to follow for the entire season, and hopefully that does get passed. He does need 32 touchdowns to pass Eli Manning for 10th all-time in league history in that category, and needs just 1,933 passing yards to pass Matt Ryan for 2nd most passing yards in the first 200 games of a career. Tight end Tyler Higbee needs 56 catches to pass Robert Woods for 8th most in franchise history. He does need 2 touchdown receptions to pass Preston Denard for 10th most in franchise history of all players. He does currently hold that title for tight ends. Defensive lineman Aaron Donald needs 9 tackles to pass Alec Ogletree for 2nd most tackles in franchise history, which is very exciting. James Laurinaitis does hold the record at number 1, and he needs just one start to move into 9th most in franchise history. So we'll see that happen on Monday. 9th most starts in franchise history for Aaron Donald. Absolutely love to see it. Your history here. The Bengals do lead the all-time series 8-7. The Rams do lead in points, however, 282 to 275. So if the Rams win this game, all-time series tied up at 8 apiece. So making this also the 16th game in against these two. First ever game between these two teams came on October 22nd, 1972. That was a 15-12 win for the Rams. The most recent game between these two was one that you might remember, Super Bowl 56, with a 23-20 win for the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have won the last 2 before Super Bowl. Was the London game where Kupp absolutely exploded for 7 receptions, 220. That was awesome. It's unfortunate we don't get him in this game. He seems to be a bit of a Bengal killer, as Cooper Kupp on a football field has never lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams were 3-3 against the Bengals in their time in St. Louis. They won the first 3 and then lost the last 3. Some connections that we're looking at in this game. The big one here, and the one that makes me a little bit sad, is former Rams on the Bengals is safety Nick Scott, who did play with the Rams from 2019 to 2022. Head coach Zach Taylor, he was the quarterback coach for the Rams in 2017 and 2018. And former Bengals on the Rams, we do have defensive line coach Eric Henderson. He was in Cincinnati 2006 to 2008, so it has been a little bit of time there. And then quarterback coach Zach Robinson. He was a player for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2011 to 2013. Some former teammates who have played together in different capacities here. We have quarterback Matthew Stafford and the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator. They were together in Detroit in 2016 and 17, so there is definitely some knowledge there between those two. Rams, Tremaine Ankrum, Darian Kendrick, and Davis Allen did play at Clemson with the Bengals defensive end Miles Murphy, offensive tackle Jackson Carman, and wide receiver T. Higgins. They all played on the same team together in 2019 in Clemson. Jordan Fuller did play at Ohio State with Joe Burrow as well as Sam Hubbard. They all played there together in 2016 and 17. Aaron Donald did play at Pitt with wide receiver Tyler Boyd. That happened in 2013. And then Troy Reeder did play with Nick Scott at Penn State in 2014 and 15. Troy Reeder is a practice squad player for the Los Angeles Rams, but I just wanted to talk about Nick Scott one more time because, well, that guy's awesome. All right, sue me. Nick Scott, obviously a fan favorite. Super cool dude as well. If you got a chance to meet him when he was a Ram, obviously you know that as well. He was just really, really cool dude, really down to earth, and just a fun guy. You know what I mean? Just a good overall dude. So I absolutely love to see it. So we'll go ahead and dive into right now the fan quesos. But other than that, if you are watching on the YouTube channel or Facebook, for the game preview, well, hey, ramshowcase.com, and check out the full podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts already. Ram Showcase. Search it up on like Apple and all that good stuff. But we'll take a quick break here and dive into the fan quesos.